This is Dan Crowley, and I'd like to share an idea with you today. Thank you for tuning in to Billionaire Beliefs, Rules of Wealth, 5 Fundamentals of Personal Finance. The purpose of this session is to improve the financial health of young adults so they can conquer inflation, taxes, and debt, because those are the three enemies of all of our financial futures. Our learning objectives are as follows. By the end of this session, you will be able to create your ticket to financial freedom, use your skills and passions to earn more money, live below your means with a mountain of cash in the bank, end each month with more cash and less stress, call the shots in your financial world. Now, it's very important that you understand that Earth is a financial planet. That's the foundation of rules of wealth. That's the underlying premise. That is the perspective. That is the paradigm in which we view this world. Earth is a financial planet. And as such, you need money to survive. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. So your performance with money ultimately is going to determine how well you survive in life. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. That's why you must set financial goals, both small and big. Small being your short-term goals, goals you like to accomplish within the year, as well as long-term goals, your big goals. These are goals that you plan on taking more than 1 year to achieve. And in addition to the goals that you need to set, you're going to also need to master the fundamentals of personal finance so you can take care of your family and survive well. Because you live on a financial planet, period. Earth is a financial planet. You might not like that, you might not agree with that, but you must accept it and realize that while in some circles you might be right, in most circles you are totally wrong. So get with the program. That is the program. Earth is a financial planet. It has been, and it will be until someone comes up with a better system. So if you don't like that, then come up with a better system. And if it makes sense for all, then we will do that. But for the time being, Earth is a financial planet. And you must master the fundamentals of personal finance if you want to survive and live well. So what are those 5 personal finance fundamentals? They are as follows. Number 1, spend less than you earn. Number 2, earn more money. Number 3, live frugally, not cheap. Number 4, manage your money. Number 5, control your destiny. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, young adults out there, we're going to dive right into rules of wealth, 5 personal finance fundamentals. Fundamental number 1, spend less than you earn. I want you to imagine a stack of money. You're looking right at it. On the left, you see a green bar that exceeds to this from the bottom of the stack to the top of the stack. That represents how much money you've made that month. On the right-hand side, I want you to imagine there's 2 bars, one red and one blue. The red bar represents how much money you've spent that much, and the blue bar represents the gap. And the gap represents the difference between how much you make and how much you spend each month. And your goal each month is to make that gap as big as possible. Do all you can to be the best you can to make that gap as big as possible. So it's a balancing act between your spending and your earning and your spending. That's why the fundamental rule to personal finance is the most important rule is to spend less than you earn. As stated, there's 2 ways to achieve this rule. The first way, you can spend less. The second way, you can earn more, or you could do both. Now, it's important that you understand that spending less has its limits, whereas earning more has no limits. So, more often than not, your time is going to be best investing in figuring out ways to earn more money as opposed to figure out ways to spend less more money. Now that doesn't mean that you do not spend less money. because, like I said, the objective here, the most important rule, is to get that gap up, increase the gap. So as stated, working on either of the two or both will increase the gap between those two numbers, which represents your ticket to financial freedom. Because the gap, the difference between how much you're earning and how much you're spending, is what is the money that you're going to ultimately use to buy and invest in assets that pay you now. We'll get into that a little bit later. But for now, we're focusing on fundamental number one. Spend less than you earn. This is the most important rule of personal finance, the most important fundamental of personal finance. So take it to the grave. Spend less than you earn. Every month, I will spend less than I will earn. Make that a credo. Make that a commitment. Commit to that. Devote yourself completely to it. Spend less than you earn. You can do this by way of spending less money or earning more money. I obviously, earning more money is the objective. Is the most effective and efficient means of your time. So focus on that, earning more money, so that you can increase the gap, make the gap as big as possible. That's fundamental number one. Spend less than you earn. Fundamental number two: earn more money. Now, I specifically have a picture of an individual with their wallet out, pulling out pieces of money with credit cards in it, because it's a skill, a learned skill. Earning more money is a learned skill. It's a skill knowing how to get people to pull money out of their pocket, pull their wallets out of their pocket, pull their wallets out of their purses so they can take money out and give it to you. It's a skill to learn how to pro provide someone with a solution, a good or a service that is going to solve a problem for them, to the point where they want to give you something of value that they have, money for something of value that you have, the solution. So fundamental number two: earn more money. As I stated before, there's a limit to how much money you can save, but there's no limit on how much money you can earn. So that's why your time is best spent focused on figuring out ways in which you can earn more money. Now, when it comes to these ways, off the bat, you can use your skills and passions to earn more money. Personally, I've used a platform called YouTube to develop multiple skills in the media world that have provided me with numerous opportunities to earn money, green dollars, checks, period. I've learned skills, like literally I've learned skills by watching videos on YouTube, and then the next day I was able to then go to the marketplace and offer my new skill as a solution to an individual who is having a problem. And I was able to earn money numerous times that way. And you can too. Right now, you can go look at YouTube, check out a few videos, learn some new skills, get the tools to use those skills, and then go out the next day or that day and start offering that service for a fee. And people will pay you. All you have to prove is that you're competent and being able to do whatever it is that they need done. That's all you have to prove. You don't have to prove that you're some world-class, magnanimous, whatever you're trying to do. No, all you have to do is prove that you are competent in what it is you are offering them. Now, to maintain competency, you must never stop learning new things about money and how to earn it. This is key, especially when it comes to earning more money, because the marketplace is changing on a daily basis, which means that new information is coming out on a daily basis. Now, you're not going to be able to learn all the new information that comes out, but you want to make sure that you are at least learning some, because knowing some is what's going to make the difference between you surviving well or not in life. Because the more information that you know, like, well, as the old saying goes, if you knew better, you do better. And then we'll just leave it at that. So never stop learning new things about money and how to earn it. Next point, always be on the lookout for ways to add income streams. Obviously, one of the first income streams that most, if not all of us, get is that first good job, and we're paid a salary, whether it be a hourly wage or a monthly fee. But nevertheless, we that's the first income stream most of us receive. Now after that, you got to add something else. So best practice is to stick within the industry that you're or within the income stream that you have first. So if you, for example, if you're building websites like I was doing when I first got started, um, get that stream gushing, and then the next stream would be, offer, monthly maintenance services. And then the next stream would be, offer, some sort of graphic design service. And the next stream would be offer some sort of video service for content creation, and on and on and on and on and on. Get those gushing first before you move on to a new industry. So before moving on to something like, let's say, if I'm in media, and let's say moving on to transportation like cars, as opposed to getting a job and then moving or offering a skill or service like web development, and then getting that gushing, and then pouring those funds into now something new like selling cars. It's not the best practice. Best practice would be, like I stated before, if I start off in web development, then move into something that complements that. So, like I said before, that might be monthly maintenance plans, and then that might be photography, that might be video production, that might be graphic design. No, 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 no. But that's what you want to start. Be on the lookout for. Be on the lookout for income streams. Always be on the lookout for ways to add income streams. Now, within being on the lookout for income streams, it's very important to realize that you don't necessarily have to have the technical knowledge and skill to perform said service in order to earn income off of it. So what I mean is, you don't necessarily have to be somebody who knows how to graphic design or knows how to take pictures or knows how to shoot videos for you to earn money, good money from those three areas. All you have to do is be able to have the courage to get the customer and be able to offer them, identify that they need it, and then offer them the service. That's all you have to do. You can serve as the middleman on those offers. You might be the person who's the master at web development, but for the other three areas, you might not be the master at those. So you partner up with three other people, and then whenever your client that you do web development for needs graphic design, photography, or video production services, you close the deal, and then you hire your vendor, the photographer, the video producer, the graphic designer, to deliver the service. So always be on the lookout for ways to add income streams, ladies and gentlemen. Next point, invest time into starting a business instead of watching TV, playing games, video games, gossiping, and there's a whole plethora, a whole smorgasbord, a whole lot of other things that you can be doing to be wasting your time. But at the end of the day, we're all victim to it, me and you included. But if can we consciously focus our intention on not being perpetrators of this crime against our future wealth, our financial futures at the end of the day, because all we're doing is robbing ourselves of the time that we could be using, or some of the time that we could be using to build a better future for ourselves and those that we love. So focus on, when it comes to earning money and investing time into starting a business. You got tons of free. If you ought to think about, start calculating how much time you're spending watching TV on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, surfing the internet, surfing the social medias, all that kind of stuff. Are you making good use of your time? If not, then you're really compromising, you're really compromising your ability to earn more money. Next point. Move towards what excites you and makes you want to do more and more. I mean, this is ultimately boiling down to doing making sure that what you are doing to generate income is something that you are passionate about, because that's what's ultimately going to make you want to do it more, but also too, it's not going to make it feel as if you're working. So that passion is kind of like that tech grind, in the sense that you put that's in the fuel that just gives it that extra oomph, so that you can perform at a much better rate. And so you gotta focus on your passion and making sure that you know what it is, identify what you want it to be, and then doing putting yourself in the position to where you're at least having some opportunities to make money based upon some things that you're passionate about. The next important point is network. When it comes to making money, all the money that you'll ever make is currently in the pockets of somebody else. Period. Point blank. Therefore, you must connect with others and keep in touch with them. If you aren't a people person, then what are you? You better be a people person, because those are the only kind of people who really make the kind of bank that they want to make in order to be able to take care of their family and themselves the way that they believe and they deserve to be taken care of. In order to survive well, you gotta be in contact with others. You gotta network. You gotta build relationships. You gotta nurture those relationships. You gotta connect with others. You gotta keep in touch with them. These are all essential things when it comes to earning more money in life. And as I stated before, if you want to focus on earning more money instead of saving more money, because saving money has its limits compared to earning money, which has no limits. For example, if you make $1,000 a month on average, but your expenses come up to $900 a month on average, that means you can only save $100 a month. Now you can try to minimize some of your lifestyle expenses, but even that is only there's only so much of your lifestyle that you can maximize and minimize. So if you can figure out a way to get an extra $100, so now you can save $200 a month, but you can only get $200 a month, as opposed to if on month one you make 1,000, you save 100. On month two you make 2,000, you save 200. Month three you make 3,000, you save 300, and up and up and up and up and up. So that's why the focus is on earning money and not saving money. That is fundamental number 2. Earn money, earn money, earn more money. Fundamental number 3. Live frugally, not cheap. So yes, living frugally and not cheap is more so about cutting costs and buying based upon value, not price. So we're not talking about being a career coupon cutter here per se. We're more so talking about making sure that we really understand what we want, what we like, and what we don't want, and what we don't like, and spending accordingly. So when it comes to living frugally, not cheap, fundamental number 3, it's all about maximizing every dollar. And your ability to maximize every dollar is ultimately boils down to what are your dollars worth to you. Now, when it comes to worth, that's basically based on needs versus wants, quality versus quantity, and you understanding that you want to spend from your abundance, not from your first fruits. So when it comes to buying stuff, material possessions that you are going to consume and use throughout the dash in your life, understand that with your small and your big goals in mind, you have to decide, how you are going to maximize your dollars. How are you going to live? Are you going to, like you said, live extravagantly, but ultimately live in debt to where you have no gap? You're spending more money than you're making, and then you're subsidizing it with credit, which is putting you deeper and deeper into debt, which is ultimately leading to you putting you deeper in the hole, because the more in debt you get, the more taxes you got to pay, the more money you not gonna have freed up in that gap to do what you got to do. So, like I said, maximize every dollar, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta understand needs versus want. You gotta understand quality versus quantity. So, needs versus want. Do you need shelter? You need protection. You need protected, safe shelter. You need clean water, clean food. You need clean clothing. But do you actually? You might want to buy those when it comes to clothing, for example. You might want to buy those $200 sneakers, but will the $50 ones suffice? Will the $60 ones suffice? You definitely, like I said, you definitely need clean, nutritious food, but do you need to have the uh the $100 meal from the white tablecloth restaurant at this point in your journey? And where are you at in your journey? So you living frugally depends on more than just cutting costs. It depends on where you're at in your journey. It depends on what you have available to you. Like all right, but regardless of all of these, even when you do reach the top of the financial mountain, you still want to live frugally because that's the secret. To wealthy people being able to live happily below their means with the amount of cash in the bank account. They're able to do that because, like I said, while yeah, they're living frugally, driving around in luxury vehicles, living in luxury homes, but that's because they're making major bank. At the end of they're earning more money. Going back to fundamental number two, they're focused on earning more money, not necessarily saving money. Pinching your quarters so hard that you make the Eagles cry, as Uncle G, Grant Cardone, would say. So we want to, we don't want to be a quarter pincher, as he would say. We want to make sure that we earning more money, so that in fundamental number three, living frugally, not cheap, is going to help us make that happen. So point number two, 10-second rule. Whenever it comes to you having to make a buying decision, really ask yourself, do you really need it? Do I really need this? Like I said, do I really? Yeah, I might want these $200 sneakers, and they might be on sale for $150. But do I really need to spend that $150 on these sneakers? Or do I need to put that $150 to something else, like paying down some debt, or paying off some taxes, or you know putting it toward that gap money so we can invest, or we can accumulate enough of it to invest in some assets that pay us now. So 10-second rule, ladies and gentlemen, apply it. Last point, decide strategically what you love and what you don't, and spend accordingly. Like I said, that's what being frugal, living frugal is really all about. It's about you deciding strategically what you love and what you don't love, and spending accordingly. Like I said before, this is how wealthy people are able to live happily below their means with a mountain of cash in the bank working for them, because they're able to earn more money and live frugally. So that's fundamental number three. Live frugally, not cheap. And that boils down to you maximizing every dollar, understanding what every dollar is worth to you, implementing that 10-second rule, asking yourself when it comes to buying decisions, do I really need this right now? And most importantly, deciding strategically what you love and what you don't, and spending accordingly. Fundamental number four, manage your money. Like I said, fundamental number one, we talked about we're going to spend less than we earn. So we can make that gap between our spending and our income as big as possible. And a lot of that comes down to fundamental number four, which is managing our money. Because obviously, once we implement fundamental number two, we start earning more money, and we also implement fundamental number three, we start living frugally, not cheap. Then that means we will have some cash on our hands. We will have some paper. We got to get it right. So, like I said, use your gap money to buy assets that will build a stable future for you and your family. But first, before we get into building wealth, which is an area of the wealth game, I kind of got confused and tripped up at when I first got started. But we don't want to put the cart before the horse. And what I mean by that specifically, ladies and gentlemen, is we don't want to start trying to invest and build wealth without first mastering the fundamentals of personal finance. Because if we do, then we're ultimately selling ourselves short, and we're selling our dreams short, because we're not gonna be in the best position to achieve this goal and reach this level of success. So, like it says, the ultimate goal obviously is we definitely want to be in a place financially where, the our financial picture looks like, we're using our gap money to buy assets that will build a stable future for ourselves and our families. But before we can get to that, if we have some derogatory items on our financial picture that we need to clear up first, then we need to clear those things up first. We need to put first things first. So, if we have high interest debt, we need to pay off all of our high interest debt. If we do not have an emergency fund of at least $1,000, then we need to build up an emergency fund of at least $1,000. And then once we do that, then we need to pay off all other debts that we have. So things like our student loans, any private loans that we might have, anything else. So high interest debt is usually going to be, like them payday loans, credit card loans, things like that. All the types of debt is going to be, like I said, private loans, private personal loans. We gonna have student loans, maybe title loans, all kind of loans. You know what I'm saying? But we got to get those things cleared off of our balance sheet so that we can start, moving up, not down. So once we pay off all those other debts, then we build up. We want to bump up our emergency fund to $5,000. Then once we bump up our emergency fund to $5,000, the next thing we want to do is we want to use. Then we can finally start using our gap money to invest in assets that pay us now for our retirement, for our kids' college, and for major purchases up until we reach retirement and throughout retirement. So use your gap money to invest in assets that pay you now for retirement, kids, college, major purchases, etc. So that's the premise of managing your money. You know what I'm saying? We're focused on spending less and earning more, which is giving us more money. We're earning more money. We're living frugally, which is keeping more money in our bank account. But now that we got this money, it's not just meant to be possessed. Money is meant to be used, not possessed. So it's not just there to sit there and collect cyber dust, or just sit in a safe in our house just to sit there. It's not what the money is meant to be used for. It's meant to be used. It's meant to be invested. It's meant to be circulated. So, like I said, once we pay off all high interest debt, once we build up that emergency fund to $1,000, once we pay off all the other debts that we have, then we bump up our emergency fund to $5,000. Then we can get to using our gap money to buy assets that help us build a stable future for ourselves and for our families. Now, key monthly activities. You got to analyze your data for improvement. Now, by data, I mean your financial data, which ultimately represents our financial performance. So, tracking your income and expenses to understand, so you can get a clearer understanding of what your financial picture looks like on a day-to-day basis, month-to-month basis, week-to-week basis. Get a clearer financial picture, so you can clearly see, how you're performing. You got to analyze that, because if you start seeing, once you start seeing, how your money's coming in and how it's going out, then you can be, on top of it. So, you'll see. So if you see, certain areas of money's going out, you can nip that in the bud. Or you can just evaluate to find out, well, I'm not even using this service no more, so why am I still paying it? Let me nip that in the bud. Boom. Got to make that happen. And then next, when it comes to key monthly activities, monitor your credit scores and your credit report. Now, when it comes to monitoring your credit scores and your credit reports, understand those are two separate entities. You can go to annualcreditreport.com to pull your free credit report once a year, but understand that credit report will not have your credit scores on it. So to get your credit scores, you're going to have to use another service, unfortunately. But some services do provide you with the ability to view your credit scores in addition to your credit reports. So you just got to find the one that works best for you and make the decision. Lastly, as I've been saying, when it comes to managing your money, it's a very key activity. That's why you must make these activities being, like I said, paying off your high interest debt, building up an emergency fund, paying off your debt, and then using your gap money to buy assets. If you have those things, then you need to focus on making them a priority and getting them knocked off, getting past those milestones. If you don't have those things, consider yourself blessed. Use that gap money to, like I said, start investing in assets. If you're already using your gap money to buy assets, then consider yourself blessed once again. Please do me a favor by showing others in your community how to do the same. Contact me so we can discuss maybe creating some training materials for these individuals so we can get them trained up. But obviously, you're ahead of me. But obviously, we can help each other win. So, like I said, for those of you who aren't though, you're not ahead of me, and you're kind of starting from scratch or starting from zero, or you're just doing a makeover, then hey, these are the things we got to do first. So if you got credit cards, if you got all these loans, we don't have emergency funds. Before we can get into the next level of the financial world, which is investing, accumulating wealth, we got to make sure we finish the transformation stage, which is getting all that other stuff, getting rid of all that other stuff, like that high interest debt, and not having an emergency fund. So, like I said before, though, understand that making these activities a priority will help you end each month with more cash and less stress. So, I know a lot of y'all wouldn't mind having a lot more cash in your pockets. So, let's make it happen by managing our money, tracking our expenses, reviewing that data, analyzing that data to make sure we can find maybe some leaking hoses in the boat, so the ship does not sink. Fundamental number 4, manage your money. Manage your money, manage your money, manage your money. Moving on to fundamental number 5, control your destiny. Now, understand, ladies and gentlemen, the game of wealth is not about being rich, it's about freedom. It's about freedom from debt. It's about freedom from supervisors. It's about the freedom to be able to have the time to spend with your family and raise your kids. The freedom to be able to donate to causes you believe in at will. You know, being as benevolent and generous as you would like. It's the freedom to have the ability to bring jobs and financial stability to your community. It's the freedom to be able to afford the best quality health care for you and yours. It's about the freedom to be able to travel around the world with your family and with your friends and a host of other things. But ultimately, like I said, it's ultimately about freedom. That's what obtaining wealth, what accumulating wealth is all about. That's what mastering these personal finance fundamentals and living by them day in and day out is all about. It's all about you being free, you having freedom. In this case, freedom solely mean not being beholden to others, being in a position to call shots. That's what freedom is all about at Billionaire Belief. That's what we believe in. That is what we are all working towards. That is what I am helping you work towards. So that's what we are going to be about. Freedom. It's not about being rich. It's not about being able to, it's not about showing off, being seen, being seen buying luxury vehicles, being seen driving luxury vehicles. It's not about that. Although those things are fun and we will do those things. We will buy the flashy clothes. We will drive luxury vehicles, take extravagant vacations and whatnot. But that's not really it is not about that. It is really all about freedom, not being beholden to others. So in your journey to wealth, as you are going down your path, it's important that you realize and understand that it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of confidence, and a lot of drive to climb to the top of the financial mountain. But understand it's going to be all worth it because the air up there is the best. It's the freshest, it's the clearest, and it is the best. So it is well worth it. I'm climbing a mountain right now. Like a lot of you. There's over 7 billion people on this planet. In America alone, there's over 83 million millennials. And while I'm not trying to reach everybody, I'm only trying to reach those who are like-minded like me. I'm only trying to reach those who want to improve their financial health. And that's not everybody. I understand that. But obviously it's you if you've made it this far in the video. So stick with me. Make sure that you stay locked in and stay loaded and be ready to shoot at all times, because that's what these personal finance fundamentals is all about. You know what I'm saying? We got to spend less than we earn. We got to earn more. We got to live frugally, not cheap. We got to manage our money. And most importantly, we're doing all that to control our destiny. We're doing all that because it's about freedom. It's not about being rich. It's not about looking rich. It's about not being beholden to others. It's about being in a position to call the shots. And we understand it's going to take massive action to make this happen. But that massive action is going to be well worth it at the end of the day, because once we get to the top of that financial mountain, the air is so much better up there. So to recap the 5 personal finance fundamentals. Fundamental number 1, spend less than you earn. Fundamental number 2, earn more money. Fundamental number 3, live frugally, not cheap. Fundamental number 4, manage your money. Fundamental number 5, control your destiny. Now, before I leave you, I want to provide you with some tools of the trade. The basic tools that you're going to need throughout your journey to wealth. 5 basic things. Number 1, you're going to need a vision board to visualize your goals. So, as we spoke about, Earth is a financial planet, and it is. That is the paradigm that we are thinking things through. Earth is a financial planet. So, with that being said, visualize your goals. Once you write those goals down, both the big ones and the small ones, create a vision board and put that bad boy up and look at it every day. Visualize, think about these things, meditate on them. It's key. It's get you in that state of being, that state of mind of making those things happen, getting that work done. Tool number 2, notebook planner. You want to have this notebook / planner to keep notes, to keep your schedule, as well as to write your goals down. Once again, once we have that vision board, and we don't only want to visualize these things, we want to also write them down. So daily, that's the best practice. Write your goals down daily. And like you said, these are going to be new habits, ladies and gentlemen. So as you begin, like with any new habit, you'll start. You might be good a day or 2 or 3. You might miss a day or 2 or 3, but just get back focused. Get realigned, and eventually see your 21 to 30 days through it. But once you do, then it's gonna be a habit. It's gonna be formed. All the neural pathways are gonna be laid. You'll be able just to do these things unconsciously. So number 3, accounting software to track your income and expenses. I personally use a package called, an app called Wave Accounting. You can access it at Wave Accounting or waveapps.com. But basically, you want to have a tool that you can use to track your income and expenses. Because like I said before, how do we know if we are spending less than we earn if we never track our expenses? And then how do we know if we have money leaking out or not if we're not managing our money based upon how we're tracking our income and expenses? So it all comes to heat. It all comes to head, ladies and gentlemen. So get you some accounting software. There's QuickBooks. If you want to treat yourself, I would recommend that, treating yourself like a company. Get some QuickBooks and really, who are your vendors? Who are your customers? Your bosses, your job is gonna be your customer. But who are your vendors? Who are you buying stuff from? Who are your bills? Who are these expenses? Like all that stuff matters. So keep track of that. Use some accounting software to help you out. Next tool, sales training materials. So, like I said, sales training materials. These are going to be the books, the audio programs, the videos, seminars, the courses, etc. As I said before, this Earth is a financial planet. We need to have these. Earth is a financial planet, and we're going to have to make money to survive well. In order to make money, we're going to have to sell. Period. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. So you can complain, you cannot like it all you want, but that's what it all boils down to. So with that being said, you're gonna have to skill up. You're gonna have to up your sales, skills, so you can up your earning power, keep your purse full, keep your wallet full. Give yourself a raise, and your mastery of sales skills, in addition to these personal finance fundamentals, is gonna help you make that happen. Now, I've been studying the subject of success for the last decade, and part of that is obviously sales and selling. And so I would just off bat, I'm just direct you to Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. That's a great place for you to start when it comes to your sales knowledge. So go ahead and invest in a copy of that. You won't regret it. Read that bad boy a couple times. Like I said, put that knowledge to work for ya. So Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone. Go get that. Last but not least, credit monitoring service to check your credit scores. Yes, like I said before, part of managing your money is you got to be able to know if you got some fugazis on your credit report, and also too what your credit scores are as you gear up to make major purchases. So you can use a service like ScoreSense. That's the one I personally use. But yeah, like ScoreSense, you gotta know. I said keep track of these numbers. Like all this stuff matters, and it's not by accident that that wealthy people are wealthy. It's not by accident that rich and wealthy people are who they are. They are meticulous financial planners. They have mastered these personal finance fundamentals, and they live by them. This is what Wallace talks about when he says doing things a certain way. And this is one of the most important things. If your goal is to get rich, then and to be wealthy, then you got to do things a certain way, and this is that certain way. So tools of the trade: vision board, notebook / planner, accounting software, sales training materials, and credit monitoring service. Now, before I let you go, I want to make a very, very clear and important point. While you are not the president of the U.S. economy, I understand you are not the president. You do not have any control over what happens in the economy of the United States of America. I accept that. I agree with you wholeheartedly. You cannot control that. And because of that, do not buy into the fear and hype from the self-appointed prophets of doom. You are not the president of the U.S. economy, so do not buy into their fluff. However, you are the president of your economy, you Inc. So you can control that. You can control the amount of money you make. You can control the amount of money you spend. You can control the amount of money you invest for growth. You can control that economy, so control that economy. Be focused on controlling that economy, because that's what you do have control of. And most importantly, while you're on your journey to wealth, you will have victories. So enjoy the spoils of your rewards along the way. You're gonna win. You're gonna have some big wins. So enjoy yourself. Have fun. Like that's what living is all about too. So we want to make sure that we do that as well. We want to be committed to the goal. We're gonna show up and do the work, and we gonna get the job done. But along the way, we gonna have fun while we do it. So in parting, you now have the fundamentals of personal finance. So watch this as many times as you need. Listen to it as many times as you need. Master these fundamentals. Put them to work for yourself. Live by them. Live a certain way. Live this certain way. Like I said, these are best practices. So regardless of what personal finance book you read, you go find these points at the end of the day in some shape, form, or fashion. It might semantically. It might not be all written the same, using the same words, but the points, the concepts, the premises will all be the same. You're going to have to spend less than you earn. You're going to have to earn more money. You're going to have to live frugally, but not cheap. You're going to have to manage your money, and you're going to have to control your own destiny. So with that being said, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, leave a comment. Send me an email. But most importantly, if you want to know more, and I believe you do want to know more, because this is not something that you were taught in school. Unfortunately, most of us were never taught these things in school. So this is new knowledge, this is new information, and going back to fundamental number 2, earning more money. Part of earning more money is never stop learning about new things about money and finance. So you obviously do want to know more. So if you enjoyed this information, you should really subscribe to the Billionaire Belief mailing list so you can get world-class business and investing advice from great entrepreneurs. Subscribe now at billionairebelief.com. With that being said, once again, it's been a pleasure. This is Dane Crowley. Out. Peace.